So, continuing from where we left, is I would like to touch base upon an important sutta, is Pottapadasutta. I don't know whether you have gone through it or it is in Digha Nikaya 9. Why am I taking this? Is because it talks about perceptions. And what we are supposed to give up is perception and feeling. Okay. And what Bahia is introduced to is how to see in seeing, how to hear in hearing, how to taste in tasting, touching and smelling. So objective is to cut the further proliferation of the mind. So yesterday we looked into six minds, six consciousness, which is nothing but the mind. Okay. If we forget from chitta to vijnana, we would think that there are no six minds. There's only one mind. No. Each has its own mind. Each has its own feeling. Each has its own perception. And that's the reason I took that other sutta, which talks about the six animals. The reason being that if there were no six minds, then it would have listened to one mind. And not only there are six minds, every person has six minds. Okay. And what Buddha calls that manopavichara. There are 18 of them. Okay. 18 of them. They get somanasa, domanasa, upekha into six. So you get 18 of them. So please don't forget whatever you learned. So for you to become an arhat or even go at anagami, you should know practically how this works. So today my focus is on that, because as I'm experiencing these things and it's becoming more vivid, so instead of sharing my personal experience, I'm doing it through sutta so that it tallies with what experience I'm getting. Yep. That becomes very easy. Okay. So what is this manopavichara? It is there in Salayatana Vibhanga Sutta, Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta also. So what it really means is that he says Chakuna Rupam Disva is when you see, when the eyes sees the object, whatever the sight is, it gets into somanasa, domanasa, and upekha. You might ask a question: who gets into somanasa? Who gets into domanasa? Who gets into upekha? It is the eyes which gets into somanasa. It's the eyes which gets into domanasa. It's the eyes which gets into upekha. Okay. And when the eyes get into somanasa, domanasa, upekha, the mind then, that is the perceiving and feeling part of the mind, creates sankhara to establish the somanasa and remove the domanasa and upekha. Clear? And when it is doing it, you will say, there is a saying, I am doing it. I am the doer. What am I doing? I love to see good objects. So to make sure we have a good object, we have found out a way of making it good. If something is rough, we don't like it. Something is smooth, we like it. Skin, if you make it smooth, you love it. The skin is rough, you'll not like it. walls. If it is rough, you'll not like it. If it is soft, smooth, you will like it. Same thing with furniture, same thing with everything. Car. If you show what is inside, outside, nobody will like it. But if you make it completely fabricated, the beautification is fabrication. So just fabricate it and smoothen it with paint and all of that. And then the eyes will like it. Okay. Now, who made that happen? The question, who made it happen? And here the theories will start. Philosophy starts from here. Who did it? This is somebody who has taught it. But otherwise, how does it know? So to know that, it's knowing by karma, because you're doing the same karma. So it's quite convincing that the eyes which are going behind the sight of a particular kind is due to karma. Okay, the same thing with ears, same thing with nose and tongue and body. I'll not talk about the mind right now. So let's take this five. Okay. So the basically, if you see a street in Brisbane versus street in Bangalore, eyes are seeing Bangalore streets filled with garbage, gravel, sand, potholes, big holes, deeper holes, water flowing, drinking water flowing, sewage water flowing, dogs, pigs, cows, then buffaloes, dogs, anyway, I told cats, squirrels, snakes, and etc. So it's more like a zoo, basically. So we can name Bangalore as a zoo. Just make it as a zoo. So when you're seeing Bangalore, you're in a zoo. You don't know where you're heading to. It can be anything. And you can't be sure what road will be open and what road will be closed, whether you can drive, you can't drive, can you walk, you can't walk, all of that is there. But when I come to Brisbane or to San Francisco or to Mountain View or even to China, let's say, things are different. So the question were to be asked, why am I in Bangalore as opposed to being in Brisbane? What would be the answer that can be given? I can say it is due to fate, fatalistic view, because I am perceiving, or rather, Shaniel is perceiving and Bobby is perceiving a place far better than being in Bangalore. In fact, if Shaniel were to come here and stay with me, he will get instant enlightenment. He doesn't have to work out at all. By the time he flies to Brisbane, he will jump out of the flight because there's no point in going to Brisbane. His perception will be completely be ransacked, just like somebody came and bulldozed all his concepts and then left. Then he doesn't know. When he lands in Sydney International Airport, he has to be taken to the hospital because he has got dementia. He's forgotten all about everything. And now he's acting like a cow or a squirrel or a dog or a cat or or he's scared about potholes and he's scared about even walking and all that. So basically, that's what is going to happen. As far as the perception goes of Shaniel, Bobby is fine because he goes to Kerala. So he's used to this kind of cultures. And then he has worked in Bangalore. So he knows it. Oh, still potholes exist. Even while I was there, it was existing. Very great. So it was 20 years ago. So I'll say another 20 years, Bobby, you'll still see the same potholes, or bigger potholes this time, basically. So no surprise for Bobby. Whereas for Eddie, it is interesting. And he might start crying and he might ask me, Vilas, tell me, don't tell me that I'm going to be reborn in this place. I'm going to say, no, no, because he did that with Patna. Now, if you come to Bangalore, you will see Patna in Bangalore. Okay, so you better don't come, Harry. If you come, be sure to get all of this, whatever I said. Now we have got pigs and all kind of things. Maybe we have to bring in some giraffes and some tigers and lions and hyenas and cheetahs and all of that. Cheetah is there anyway in Bangalore. So other than that, we can bring in many more animals and then keep them. And on the roads, they will just be there with you. If you want to go on them, you can go. You want to go below them, you can do it. Whatever you want to do, you can do. Up to you. Anyway, so the perception is changed. Now, those people living in Bangalore, what have they done wrong? Why their eyes are seeing these things? What would be the answer? So I can convincingly give an answer. It's a fate. It's convincing because there's no other reason, right? See, Bobby being an Indian, he migrated to Ireland and from migrated to Australia, and then he's happy. I see he's a happy guy. Maybe he will say, I'm not happy, Vilas ji. I don't know. You think I'm happy here? I'm not. But as far as my traffic issues and, daily commuting and daily madness of dogs and dogs barking, then the traffic sounds, and then name it, have it. And the mosques, there's another new one which has started. So now it's a competition between 3 mosques, and they all will sing the same thing together in a chorus, blasting your ears. And my Apple Watch or Apple mobile shows it has crossed 100 decibels. And who cares? Across 100 decibels or 1000 decibels, you lose your ear. You are more happy of praying to Allah. Doesn't matter. Because we don't even consider you're a human being. It's our way or the highway. That's it. And there's one temple next by, and then they have their own functions and all of that. So why my eyes and ears and nose and tongue and this body are supposed to be perceiving this? What's the reason? And what would be your reasoning? You would say, maybe your fate will us. We are very compassionate to whatever is happening in your life. But we appreciate that even with that, your anagami is absolutely marvelous. Okay, but that doesn't solve this noise and cats and dogs and bulls and other things. So what do we do? That's the answer. Or I can choose to call it as karma. It's my karma, my deed, the past. Now, which past did I do this? Because in the past, there were no roads. There were bullock carts. There were no highways or freeways or motorway or this way. So can I say that since I saw in Australia motorway, I was an Australian national some time ago, and now I'm born as an Indian due to my bad deeds? Or I was an American earlier and now I became an Indian because of my bad deeds? That means those born in America as having good deeds, those born in India are having bad deeds. Obviously, that's what it is. Isn't it true? You might say, no, Vilas, that's not true. We are also suffering. Come on, you stay here for one day. You will come to know what is suffering. Come with me. I will show you what is suffering. You will be so dazzled that the very next day you will would like to fly back to your country. I'll take you to the places where living as a human being itself looks dangerous. You start to question yourself. Is this a place to stay? So, if a question were to be asked, why are they staying there? What would be the answer? You have to choose one of the two. Either they were left on fate or they were cursed by karma. And the third one, we don't know. So it's random, happened. Clear? Now the second, why is in India you need to bribe? What's the answer? Because you have bad karma. I don't want to bribe, but you had to bribe for everything. Clear? So why there is so much of corruption? Well, it's because of your fate, or because of karma, or because of just happened to be like that. So we don't have an answer. This is the confusion which is there even when you go to philosophy. So it comes to philosophies now. Why different philosophies exist is to address this differences. Why is somebody happy? Another one is unhappy. Why is somebody tall? Another one is short. Why is somebody rich? Another one is poor. Why is someone deprived? Why is someone in abundance? Why is someone smart? Why is someone dumb? Why is someone employed? Someone not employed? Why is somebody doing menial jobs while somebody does no jobs? Why is somebody in business while somebody is not in business? Why is somebody doing good in life and why is somebody not doing good in life? And why is someone having good family and why is someone not have good family? Why is someone married? Why is someone unmarried? Why is someone married and divorced? Why is someone married for just for the sake of it? And why is someone married for it? Why do they have children? And why somebody don't have children? Why somebody has a lot of fortunes? Why somebody doesn't have any fortune? So this is the plurality of life which has to be addressed. And you require philosophy for this reason. Because it's not convincing to me. Same is the case with Mumbai. If you ask Archana and Ravindra, they will say the same story. Every time it rains, the roads are full of water. From time immemorial, as far as I remember, from 1979 onwards, I am seeing the roads in Mumbai same. 89, 99, 2009 became 30, 2019, 40, 2029, it becomes 50 years of my existence in Mumbai. So across India is the same. So we can say 140 billion people. Oh, sorry, not 140 billion, 140 crores, which becomes 14 billion or 1.4 billion. Yeah, 1.4 billion. Human population is trash. Literally, you can pick up this population and put it in a big furnace and burn them out. That's what it is. Just like you have some garbage. I don't know what to do with the garbage. That's what it is. So if 1.4 billion people were to ask, why are we in a deprived place? Whereas 1.3 billion Chinese population today, they are doing pretty good. They have all. They have money, they have power, they have AI, they have tools, and even there are companies which would like to be in China for hundreds of reasons. There's investment in China, and in next 2000 years, India cannot catch up with China. So this question is again to be asked: why? They're so same human beings, right? And they don't believe in anything at all. They eat anything they want. They do whatever they want. But why is God so kind to Chinese and so unkind to Middle East countries? Because they are doing everything for God. And they're doing for God's sake. Everyone is fighting war for God. But God is not fighting for human beings. That's very strange of it. Actually, God should be fighting for humans. Because humans are fighting for God. So God should then fight for humans. They should say, hey, he's my man. Come on. What stupid are you? Instead of blasting some furnace, God could have just come and said, hold on, hold on. In fact, there is one Telugu movie. I think God should learn from this actor. There's one actor in India in Telugu. I mean, Telugu is a language, okay? So it's spoken in Andhra. So there is one scene wherein this hero is standing on a running train and another train is approaching on the same track. So he just shows his hand like this. And the train which was coming on this side at 100 kilometers per hour just goes back to the station from where it started. And he's sitting on a chair, a plastic chair, on a running train, making the train go back. See, when in India there are so many gods, I don't understand why this God who created humans in his own imagination have left them like that. Right? So when Archana wants to go to college, she can't go like Harry or like Shania, just take the car, or like Merin, just she presses and garage door opens, automated door, then you fill up whatever you want. No person on the road, absolutely no one. Then she pulls the car out, and it's an automated car. You don't have to put anything. Just follow the lane. If it is 60, go at 60. If it is 70, go at 70. If it is 80, go at 80. If it is 90, go at 90. If it is 100, go at 100. And you can predict, if I go at this speed, I'll be reaching this place in next 40 minutes. What's the distance? In 40 minutes in Bangalore, it takes maximum you can travel is 3 kilometers. In fact, you can park your car and walk. You would be better off walking and reaching the place than driving. Whereas Marine will just take the car and in, let's say, 1 hour time, 100 kilometers, right? An hour. So she is reached 100 kilometers. So let's say 90 kilometers. Whereas for 3 kilometers, If it takes 40 minutes, just multiply if it were to be 90 kilometers. And there is a place called a Silk Board here, okay, that junction. There are a lot of memes. One IT family wrote a meme while standing on the flyover. It took them 9 hours on the flyover, not knowing what to do. So the husband wrote to the wife, who is sitting next to her, saying that we got married in the Silk Board flyover junction. We made our house in Silk Board flyover junction. And we had our first kid in Silk Board flyover junction. And our child also started going to the school and college, and then he's getting married, and we are still in Silk Board junction. So now you tell me, with all of this, why my eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body has to suffer? Isn't it an act of God? Or isn't it an act of karma? Or isn't it a act of, I don't know. If Bobby is nodding like this, then he has an answer. Maybe let me hear to his best answer. Because he is from India and he has ditched India and has gone to Australia. And then before meeting me, he used to follow a lot of these news items about what is going to happen to India. I asked him one question: why are you bothered, Bobby? Whatever is going to happen to India will happen to India. But you are in Brisbane, you are doing a good life. Why should you follow politics of India and lose your sleep? A person sitting in India itself cannot do anything. What will you do sitting in Australia and trying to think about what is the future of India? Okay, anyway, let's listen to this, what he has to say.
Vilashi, when you're saying that it is an act of God, I just nodded. No, it is not the act of God. But if I start talking about theory of karma, I think everybody knows it. So that is more convincing for me. That it is not fatalistic thing. It is something. This is continuing, and we have done something not the appropriate karma in the past, which I cannot prove anyway. But that makes sense to me that some people have to suffer.
Yeah,
And some
exactly,
people
Bobby. Yes, Bobby, that's correct. So your karma came to an end when you had to fly to Ireland.
No, it is not. Yeah, it is some to some extent, like maybe, but then still, all the defilements, everything is
That you leave it, Bobby. I'm not interested in all these defilements and all, because your stomach is full now. So now you'll talk about defilement. Look at my life, Bobby. Look at my life. I am
It looks like you have done some bad karmas for that.
exactly. I wanted you to say that you are a slumdog person, and then you have to be in that.
But then
Yes,
now, like when I understand, ultimately you are winning, right? So whatever it is, you have to
you
hear a
think
lot of
so.
noise. And,
You
yeah, so
think so. You think so. But look at
no,
my
Mata, your wisdom says that so many people are listening to you, and and
no, that's
they
fine.
are they
I
are
have found a solution. But my question is not on finding a solution. My question is on the cause. What's the cause for me to be born in such a pathetic, horrible, a slum kind of an environment? It's worse than slum. Every day living hell. A day, forget, every hour. You just like a prisoner waiting for your sentence to be said. Boss, today we are going to put you on, we'll make you sleep, and to say thank you so much. I had enough of it. So that means every Indian is a potential bodhisattva. bound for awakening. Why? He is tested enough on sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. And the fun part of India, no two people speak the same language. So if you go 30 kilometers out of Bangalore and you start talking in Kannada, that person will look as though you're speaking some foreign language. And to take care of it, we speak in English. So what's our first language? English. Don't you have a national language? Excuse me, we don't even have a nation. What do you mean by national language? Amazing. How do you stay? We stay the way we want to stay. So one guy driving a car, he's eating some chips, throws the packet, then it falls on somebody's. In fact, not yesterday, day before yesterday, I was on my two-wheeler scooter. My brother-in-law was driving. So one car guy, one taxi cab fellow, he put water as though he's drinking. It was on a signal. Just did that, which fell exactly there. Did that and then just closed and he left. He didn't even bother whether somebody standing there, what would happen if the water. If you were to ask him, how did you do this? He'll come out of the car and he'll go. So if I were to be asked, Bobby, tell me why I got hit. I just asked this question. Why did you do like that? You will say, because of your karma, Vilas. You shouldn't have questioned him. So what you are trying to say is, Bobby, that 1.4 billion people living in India today are born in this pathetic third-rate environment because of their karma. Simple. Because they all are seeing the same thing, including Dhirubhai Ambani. You go to Antilla, it's filled with, round across the place is filled with garbage and slums. He's doing his best to get rid of them. It's not happening. Okay.
He passed away, Virasi.
No, not Dhirubhai, his son, Mukesh Ambani. So his house, now the Antilla, I don't know what this means, but he has to drive the car in that lousy place. He might have the best of the car in the world, but he still have to go through that worst traffic. Whereas our friend in China, Aryu, doesn't get to see, even though they are 1 point almost India population, but they are doing decent. So here is what perception is. I just came up all of this to show what is perception. This is what is perception. All that what I said just now is perception. And hence there is a self. Aren't you suffering? Or can you say only eyes are suffering? Ears are suffering? Nose is suffering? No. You are suffering. And that you is perception. So the question asked in Pottapadasutta is, how can someone achieve a state of no perception, because that is the problem. Now, didn't you perceive India? As even Shaniel has just come, I think, once to Bangalore, I was saying he was overwhelmed. He didn't say what overwhelmed him, but anyway, it overwhelmed his senses. So his senses were captivated like a prisoner, listening here, there, and traffic, and this and that, and bustling, and some odd people walking and talking and mobile, and then three people, they're carrying some, what we can say, ladders on their head and some other things and all of that. In fact, one of our colleague did that, and he showed it during a board meeting in Seattle. Yeah, pan spitting is also there, but not in Bangalore. But if I take him to Kolkata and ask him to wear a white shirt and trousers, and by the time I take him back into the airport, it'll all be red. And in Delhi as well. Yes, you're right. So maybe I would like to take Ariu and Shaniel into all these places, and then they don't have to ask him. We don't have to ask him to spit. Even in Lucknow, they'll hold it like this, so that the color thing will everywhere. It's so nice. And I would like to show you something also when you guys are here. We'll take you to Mumbai where they will shit on the track, so we can just see how much of sense restraint you can have. If you want to get into a real business of enlightenment, you should be in India, because your all senses will be tested. So either we can say ourselves to be too fortunate to be born here, or we are too unlucky, just landed here. Anyway, coming back to this topic is this perception. Isn't it a pain? It's indeed a pain. And hence the philosophical question. Maybe I'll just finish the philosophical question and then tomorrow we'll take it, the remaining part. And that is why Buddha says, dhite dhite mattam bhavisati, sute sute mattam bhavisati, mute mute mattam bhavisati, vinyate vinyate mattam bhavisati, because that is the problem. This perception problem. Now, which is better, Bangalore or Brisbane? Which is better, Bangalore or San Francisco? Because San Francisco is treated as Silicon City, Silicon capital. And what is Bangalore? Same Silicon. How many IT companies are there in Bangalore? Thousands of them. How many companies or how many labor intensive software companies are there in Bangalore? That's a better way to ask. Because we supply only labor. And technology is supplied by whom? Outside. So this is pretty easy. It's a cheap labor business. It's just labor business. Right? So you cut few jobs in US or some other country and make 100 people work here because they just pay them some wages. Like my MD was saying one day, he was drunk as well, said, if I throw dollars at Indian, they're going to lick my shoes. And we all were sitting, doing nothing. Why this comment came? Because we were expanding in Bangalore. Then he made this comment, just throw some dollars at these Indians, they'll lick everything you want. And that's true. Now, again, the perception, right? I might get upset, I might shout, and that will make me lose my job. Then what would I do? Nothing. So I looked at my other colleague who is an Indian. He looked at me, and we both looked at our boss, who is not an Indian. And he was having a cynical smile on his face. And then we just sat silent, couldn't utter a word. And after that, we all went to a party, forgetting all about the comment what he made. And that's true. Because if he doesn't give budget, we can't hire. So he indeed threw some dollars at Indians, and they did it. And to top it all, if it is 7 hours and above flight, you have to fly by business class. It's there in the company HR document. But for Indians, it's exempted. You have to go by cattle class, which is economy. Because you are going to US, and for them to come to India, you have to convince them why they should come to India. So they have to be given business class. They shall be given 5-star accommodation so that there is some luring for them to come. Other they'll not come. And what's the security? So for that, they refer to the USAC document, which says which countries they should travel and which countries they should not travel, and advisory is there. And based upon the advisory information, they make their travel plan, because either due to diseases or to war or to something, there are countries, and that India tops it on that all the time. So they keep on reviewing every 3 months whether India is a safe place to travel. And the travel advisory, if they say shows in orange, not supposed to go. You're going at your own risk. So the company will cancel. Whereas an Indian flying from this place to that place is allowed. Why? Because they're coming from third world country to first world country. Clear? And where do we stay? We stay in DoubleTree residencies. That's okay. But where do they stay? 5-star. And what vehicle do they go on? Pretty nice vehicle. How do you go to office? How do you commute to office? You can't get a car. So take a cab or walk. Nobody cares. Now, this, if you were to ask why, you have to answer either one of these three. It's God, or it is random, or it is karma. If I am non-believer of God, I will say karma. If I am non-believer of karma also, then I will say random. Just happen to be. And all the three are perceptions. God is a perception. Karma is a perception. And the randomness is also perception. So the days I got insulted while in the US, the perception. And the days I got appreciated while I was in the US, the perception. So while I was a software engineer, as a rather a development manager in the US, was just a perception. And a development manager here in India is just a perception. And then I became a director of the company. Perception. So everything is perception. But the question comes, why does the perception come in consciousness? What do we answer? And that is the preamble with which we're starting Pottapadasutta. It's a very interesting sutta, very beautiful. So I have another. How much time do you all have? Good amount of time?
I have to go in 15 minutes.
Okay, so you have 9:30. That means something like 2:30 for you. Sorry, 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. So then we will not take further. So we will just play around with this so that the time goes away and we'll say time up. Now, any questions on whatever I said, or did I say right, or did I say wrong, or what do you think? Do you feel proud of being an Indian after hearing to this? Or do you feel awkward? Or do you feel sad?
We don't have a choice.
Exactly. You can't have a choice. You are stuck in stone.
But you said something interesting about you can look at it both ways. Like you can look at the conditions and think, why am I here? But if you are following the Dhamma, like what better place to practice, right? And also be in touch with various teachings, you know. So I guess you can see it both ways. And I was born in Fiji. Fiji is also a third world country, but probably, you know, a little bit better conditions than India. But then my parents moved to Australia when I was 5, you know, which then obviously changed my circumstances. It probably took me a little bit further away from various teachings, but I came back in contact with them and they were always there in the presence of my parents, you know, but the pull was towards Christianity and other things as well. So it's hard to sort of trace, you know, what the causes and conditions are that lead us to where we are and where we end up.
Yep. So, in the nutshell, you have to either believe in God, or you should believe in karma, or you should believe in randomness, because all the three are perceptions.
Mhm.
And we are getting into the reason of perception. Why there is perception? Because when we say sanya vedita nirodha, it means a life of non-perceiving and non-feeling, which is what Nibbana is. Supposing I were to delete Bangalore and Brisbane at once, make it empty, and there ends suffering. Now the question is, how do you do it? How? So to come up with theory, so you have to come up with an idea. Idea should become a concept. Concept then has to be replaced with a design, and a design has to have a theory. And from the theory, you start working on the hypothesis. And based upon the hypothesis, you start proving the hypothesis to be true. So basically, all philosophies are hypothetical, including Buddha as a philosophy. And hence, Buddha is not a philosopher at all. He's the only person who stood away from metaphysical explanation, because philosophy is metaphysical. It will touch on metaphysics, which you wouldn't buy into it because there's no rationality. If somebody were to say, Vilas, you're here because of your bad karma, then I would like to know, what did I do? And the person would say, not now, you did it last life. My dear friend, in my last life, there was no carriage at all. There was no motorway or a highway or a freeway, whatever way it is. Tell me now. Don't tell me in my some past I've done something. Even you have done something. You tell me, why are you born in India? he will evade that question. Like you said about Fiji. Yeah, why? You don't have an answer. Nobody has an answer. So you have to go with these three perceptions. Yes, Aryu.
I was just thinking as you're speaking, I was thinking that the question you posed on Chinese people because of their faith and why do they have what they have. I was thinking maybe it's because all these three views you mentioned, the God, the randomness, or they or come, they bring certain perspective of being a victim of out of control of what came to be. But these Chinese people, they ignore all of that. They don't believe in philosophy. They don't even think about that. They don't think about where they come from. They just believe if they put effort, they can get better.
Exactly.
So they rely on.
Exactly. That's in line with Buddha Dhamma. If you really see it, it's in line with Dhamma. You put effort, you get it. Don't put effort, you wouldn't get it. So if you keep on believing in God, it's your belief which is causing your problem than the God itself. It's your madness. Throw the philosophy aside, put it in furnace, burn it completely. So what Ambedkar did was something remarkable. He went and burnt a document called as Manusmriti, which gives about classes. What he did, he got so much pissed off that December 25th, when it is Christianity or Christmas, on that day, he burnt this book. And that became beginning of destruction, because neither you can grow nor you can do anything, so just stagnate. Basically, after that, he died, and nobody knew what was his motive, what he wanted to do. Since he left, and nobody knew what's next to be done. So they started doing a ritual called as Manusmriti Dahan Divas. That means burning day. So then 25th of December, they burn bonfire. And that's it. So it is classes and classes and classes fight over religion and identity and all of that. So the communists say that burn all of this and give it in our hands, we will develop the country. Like in Bangkok, Ajahn Chah's famous words, he has written in the book. He says, communists are coming. So if it come into communist, just like Burma, it went into communist hand, and you know what happened, right? So in India, there has been always been to make something like what Mao did for China, just one shot, cut it, throw out all the religious things, burn them into ashes, and make people work. So 1985, China, 1985, India, almost same. 1991, China, 1991, India, slightly ahead, China ahead of India. 2001, China, 2001, India. India is on a reverse trend and China is on upward trend. 2011, China, 2011, India stagnated. This is going up. 2021, China, 2021, India. It's impossible to ever come near China. Not now. For thousands of years to come. So the battleground is, if you believe in religion, you are doomed. And if you follow what China did, the right way of living. Simple. Why? You can see. You can just see. Now, same amount of population. If you put both the population and look at California, you will either find Indians or Chinese. So you will not find any other creatures on the ground in California. Whether you go to San Jose, you go to Mountain View, you go to Cupertino, you go wherever. Like we saw in Google. See only Chinese and Indians. No one else. Like Shaniel, you know what? One fun thing happened before we close. We have 3 more minutes left. I was seeing some people speaking in Kannada. So I wanted to just go and talk. And then I saw the entire tables are Kannada speaking. Then I just shut my mouth because there's no point. And I see Gujaratis and Kannada and Tamil and Telugu and all of these. And half of where we were sitting, the other side is Chinese. And this entire belt is full of Indians in Google. Right? So,
Yes.
aren't they happy? They are. Weren't they unhappy in India? They were. And hence took the trouble of migrating to United States. They are fighting for the H-1B visa and all of that is fine. Trump might send them anytime, maybe, but not in California. Because California is full of immigrants, so nothing can be done.
Mhm.
So they survive. Only Texas, we'll see what happens in Texas. That's fine.
Mhm.
But then, how many Indians in Texas? Dallas. To anywhere you go, find Indians. So aren't they happy doing what they're doing? They are. And if they were in India now, where they would be running for jobs.
Are they economists?
Not everybody wants that, right? That's again a perception. See, the thing is, how do you let go of this perception, Shaniel? You have seen both sides. You have seen the abundance and you've seen deprivement.
Mhm.
People here have only seen deprivement. They have not seen
Yeah.
abundance. So you
Yeah.
can't explain someone who is deprived to forget all about it.
No. And you have to see both sides.
Yes, you have to see
Yeah.
both sides. So like Ariu, he's seen both sides. If he
Mhm.
was in China, like his schooling is in China, and then he started in United States, so he knows the difference. Now China has caught up, right? So fine, it looks almost similar. But India and US, you think is a comparison, or India and Australia, you think you can make a comparison? It's like
Mm.
miles away.
Mhm.
Miles means it's like light years away. Maybe you're talking to me sitting in a nice place, and to a person who is in a, what I can say, in a desert filled with nothing.
Mhm.
It's a horrible third world country. And if you want to tell him that even the best of it is of no use, he wouldn't buy into it. And you see what Buddha did. He built in all the princes to come out of it, because they did everything in their life. They
Yeah.
found nothing which is giving them enjoyment. And then they gave up. We are not even seen what is enjoyment. Forget about getting it.
Mhm.
Like, if you were to travel from 140 kilometers from your house to Gold Coast, you can do it in 1.5 hours. If I
Mhm.
were to travel from here for 140 kilometers at 3 kilometer per hour, you tell me how many hours it's going to take for me to reach 140, one side.
Better not to leave your house.
Yes, that's exactly. So every day going to office is a pain for me, and hence I have to leave at 6 a.m.
Mhm.
Anyway, so let's keep this active on perception, and we'll see how to remove perception tomorrow.